Let's keep the Nigerian Economic Summit Group conversation going. 25th edition this year, looking forward to the year 2050. So how much has been achieved over the last 25 years or 25 editions of the NESG, and the role of the Nigerian government in making sure this program succeeds every year? That's what Asoyo Godalo, who is the current chairman of the NESG, spoke about yesterday at the opening of the two-day event, which currently ongoing in Abuja. Take a listen.
We have started to see the potential of an increasingly dynamic private sector to transform and impact lives. You may recall that it was at NESG that we advocated the abrogation of the Foreign Exchange Decree and the Indigenization Decree, opening the door to foreign direct investment flows into the country with huge impact on jobs and wealth creation. The 6th and 7th summits stressed the need for the liberalization of the telecommunications sector, which led to the GSM revolution that has largely democratized information and communication technology in the country. The idea of a contributory pension scheme was conceived at the 11th summit, and today we have a pension fund in excess of 8 trillion, and I thank Governor Rufai for his work at the time too, of which retirees can look forward to relative financial security following active service to the country. At NESG 21, we recommended a focus on the ease of doing business. The federal government subsequently established the Presidential Enabling Business Council, and today, Nigeria has improved in the World Bank's Doing Business rankings. Just a few days ago, our country was listed among the 20 reformers in the world. Please, I think we should clap. These achievements may not have been possible without sustained advocacy on the part of the NESG and a few other forward-looking groups. Our policy commissions, led and driven by passionate and patriotic public and private sector volunteers, are the vehicles by which summit recommendations are followed through. They engage with ministries, departments, and agencies of government to bring about change. On the other side of the equation, success would not have been possible without a willingness by governments of the day to truly engage in the dialogue and to give a fair consideration and fair hearing to the reform recommendations that we make. It has always been a collaborative effort, which must also remain that way. Between the last summits and now, our real GDP growth rate improved marginally, but remained below our expectations. We recorded a GDP growth rate of about 2% in the first half of this year and a decline in headline inflation from 15.1% to 11%. However, the rate of inflationary decline has slowed considerably, largely as a result of food inflation, which has remained sticky at 13.2%. This has resulted in continued erosion of the real income of most of our people. The total revenue receipts for 2018 came in at about 3.5 trillion, which was only 48.6% of the projected revenue figure for the year, while total debt service stood at about 2.2 trillion, and this remained unchanged. However, if this imbalance persists, the availability of funds to drive infrastructure development and other social investment programs will remain challenged. As such, there is an urgent need to address not just our perennial revenue expenditure mismatches, but our overall productivity and growth as a nation. Mr. President, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the world, which was described by Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum, who at the time in 2005 coined the term Fourth Industrial Revolution, is a world in which individuals manage their lives by moving between digital domains and offline reality. They now use connected technology. It's a world where green energy takes over from fossil fuels as its primary energy source, where robotics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, 3D printing, wearable technologies, and neurotechnologies transform the way we live. And smart cities with electric and self-driving cars become the new normal. Not not too long ago, all of that seemed like science fiction or movies, science fiction movies. But that's the world of today. And that world that was described in 2005 is now here. Aside the global shifts that demand our attention, our country is also changing internally. Despite rising poverty rates, our population growth continues at a trajectory that should be a cause for concern and a cause for decisive policy measures. The United Nations projects that our population will double by year 2050 to about 410 million, and will then become the third most populous nation in the world, behind China and India. Basically, our population is projected to grow by a little over 3% per annum. If these projections are true, and it does seem realistic, GDP must grow at least that much year on year for us to just maintain our current GDP per capita. And this is without accounting for inflation. So clearly, we do not have the luxury to wait. Our current GDP per capita, even at zero inflation on its own, and more so when we factor in wealth distribution disparities, is not a metric we can afford to have stand still. We at the NESG are convinced that only consistent and inclusive economic growth, underpinned by a competitive, private sector-led productive economy, can move us toward real progress. By 2050, sir, majority of the country's projected 410 million people will be under the age of 35. We therefore need to confront our realities and craft a new national agenda that will proactively and urgently drive inclusive double-digit growth and development over the next 3 decades. It sounds daunting, but it's not impossible. It has been done before by others in situations not too dissimilar from ours, but it's never done by accident. It must be planned strategically. The kind of economy we require that will earn us a seat at the table with regional and global giants must be both deliberate and audacious. If we plan to just survive or maintain our current trajectory, we will have sacrificed the futures of a large number of the world's future inhabitants on the altar of inertia. But if we plan to thrive and excel in this new world that is emerging, we can work to restore glory to our country and lead this continent to a place of relevance in tomorrow's economy. Singapore did it, South Korea did it, China did it. Radical transformation is possible. Destinies can and do change. All it takes is concerted effort, the urgency of now, and the will to change. Sir, the theme for this year's summit, Nigeria 2050 Shifting Gears, is deliberately set against this background, with a focus on setting a new agenda tailored to Nigeria and defining the path we must collectively tread as we usher in the 4th Industrial Revolution. The analogy of shifting gears is particularly instructive, as it recognizes that we must ramp up speed from where we are and cannot go from 1 to 5 without a few shifts.
Asu Igodalo, the current chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group.